Good morning. It is Sunday, May 3rd, 2026, and before I get into what is developing this week, I need to start with something that is happening right now, today, because it affects millions of people in the southeast who may not be watching closely enough. Strong to severe storms are possible across southern Georgia, into northern and central Florida, this morning into the early evening. A cold front extending across the northern Florida peninsula into the Gulf is shifting south and east through the afternoon as a focus of severe thunderstorm development. A slight risk of severe weather, level 2 of 5, was maintained across southern Georgia into the eastern Florida panhandle and northern and central Florida, with the main threats being damaging wind and large hail. Southern Georgia. The Florida panhandle, northern Florida, right now this morning. These are communities that finally received their drought-breaking rainfall this past week. Communities that have been under wildfire emergency for weeks in the same frontal system. Delivering that relief is also producing the threat of damaging thunderstorms today. If you are in northern Florida or southern Georgia this morning, watch the radar through this afternoon. The threat is not extreme, but it is real. Damaging wind gusts and large hail are the primary concerns. Have your weather alerts active. That is the immediate story. But the bigger story, the one that is going to matter far more for far more people this week, is what the atmosphere is setting up to do by Tuesday. And that setup is one I need to walk you through carefully, because the data is pointing towards something that deserves serious attention. After 10 consecutive days of violent, severe weather through late April, there is a natural tendency to assume May is going to give us a break. And to be fair, the first few days of May have been relatively quieter across the central U.S. compared to the relentless pace of the last 2 weeks of April. But quiet is relative. And what is developing in the large-scale pattern for midweek is not quiet at all. A southern stream shortwave trough over the southwest will merge with an upper trough over the plains and upper Midwest on day 4, Tuesday, May 5th. At the surface, low pressure will develop over the southern plains and slowly progress east into Arkansas, as a cold front develops southeast across Oklahoma, Arkansas, and the lower Ohio Valley. A southern stream shortwave merging with a plains trough, surface low developing over the southern plains. This is the same fundamental atmospheric recipe that has driven outbreak after outbreak this spring. A shortwave, a lobe of upper-level energy, ejecting from the western U.S., merging with existing trough energy over the plains, deepening a surface low and dragging a cold front southeast through the same corridor that has been hit repeatedly since March. Ahead of the front, rich Gulf moisture will return northward, and dew points of 60 to near 70 degrees Fahrenheit are forecast by Tuesday afternoon and evening across southeast Oklahoma and the Arklatex region. Timing of thunderstorm development is a bit uncertain as shortwave ridging may overspread the southern plains through the afternoon. However, forcing for ascent should increase with the approach of the surface front, and as a low-level jet increases Tuesday evening. Dew points of 60 to near 70 degrees Fahrenheit in the Arklatex by Tuesday afternoon. Let me put that number in context for people who don't think about dew points regularly. A 70-degree dew point is not just humid. A 70-degree dew point is oppressively, tropically moist air, the kind of moisture content you associate with Gulf Coast summers at their worst. It is the kind of atmospheric moisture loading that gives severe thunderstorms an almost unlimited supply of fuel. And it is streaming northward into the Arklatex, northeast Texas, southwest Arkansas, northwest Louisiana, by Tuesday evening. Combined with the low-level jet increasing overnight Tuesday, the same mechanism that drives the most dangerous nocturnal severe weather events, this is a setup that needs to be taken seriously now, before Tuesday arrives. Before we get to Tuesday, let me walk you through Sunday and Monday because neither day is completely quiet. Today, Sunday, the Florida and Georgia severe weather threat continues through the afternoon. There is also concern about storm motions and a lack of more discrete supercells today across Florida. The narrow zone in North Florida, where marginally stronger low-level shear and boundary layer destabilization may favorably align mid and late morning, has a higher tornado risk, but overall confidence is low in favorable overlap. The tornado risk in Florida today is real but uncertain. The SPC has not issued a higher level tornado probability precisely because the storm mode may not favor discrete supercells. But that uncertainty cuts both ways. If the atmosphere organizes better than expected, the tornado risk upgrades quickly. Watch your radar through early afternoon if you are in northern Florida or the Panhandle. A few strong thunderstorms are possible across parts of northern and central Missouri and central Illinois on Sunday. Missouri and Illinois, two states that absorbed some of the heaviest severe weather in late April, including Monday's moderate risk outbreak, are seeing additional storm chances today. These are not expected to be organized severe weather, but isolated strong storms are possible through the afternoon. Given the saturation and storm fatigue in those communities right now, even a strong thunderstorm is worth monitoring. Monday looks to be the quietest day of the week for most of the central U.S. The pattern is in transition. The incoming shortwave has not yet arrived, the Gulf moisture has not yet fully returned, and the surface boundaries are diffuse. Use Monday to prepare for Tuesday. And I want to say that directly. Use Monday to prepare for Tuesday. Not in a panicked way, in a practical, specific way. Know your shelter, confirm your weather alerts are active, charge your devices. Have a plan for Tuesday evening and overnight. Tuesday is the day I want you to have in your calendar before this video ends. Here is exactly why. The surface low that develops over the southern plains on Tuesday will organize the atmospheric ingredients, Gulf moisture, wind shear, frontal forcing, into a configuration that the SPC is already flagging in their Day 4-8 discussion as capable of producing organized severe thunderstorm activity. The key timing issue is the cap, the same warm air aloft that has been the wild card in almost every setup this spring. Timing of thunderstorm development Tuesday is a bit uncertain, as shortwave ridging may overspread the southern plains vicinity through the afternoon. However, forcing for ascent should increase with the approach of the surface front, and as a low-level jet increases Tuesday evening. The afternoon cap may limit storm development early, keeping things quiet through the day. But as the low-level jet strengthens through the evening hours, the forcing for convective development increases. And in that scenario, where the cap holds through the afternoon and then breaks as the nocturnal jet strengthens, the storms that fire will be explosive, will be fueled by tropical level moisture with 70-degree dew points, and will develop during the most dangerous time of day, evening into overnight, exactly the window that has produced the most fatalities in this entire spring season. The PDS warning in Stone County, Arkansas at 11 p.m., the squall line racing through Missouri and Illinois at 2 a.m., the wake-low winds in Michigan after midnight. Every death this spring from severe weather has either been directly in the overnight window or connected to a storm that intensified after dark. Tuesday's setup targets the Arklatex specifically: Northeast Texas, Southwest Arkansas, Northwest Louisiana, Southeast Oklahoma. The highest hail risk in 2026 is expected from Texas to Alabama, with another hotspot around Iowa, northern Missouri, eastern Nebraska, and northeastern Kansas. Do not let your guard down this severe weather season. Flash floods and damaging wind gusts can be just as destructive as tornadoes and often impact a much larger area. Texas to Alabama. That is the corridor. That is the target. And Tuesday's setup aims directly at the western end of that corridor with 70-degree dew points and an increasing nocturnal low-level jet. The specific threats for Tuesday include large hail, damaging wind gusts, and a tornado threat, especially for any discrete supercells that manage to develop in the high shear, high cape environment ahead of the front Tuesday evening. As we get closer and the high-resolution models come online, the picture will sharpen considerably. I will have updates as the week progresses. I need to address something that is not a tornado or a severe thunderstorm, but is causing real damage to real people's livelihoods right now, and it is happening while everyone's attention is on severe weather. The frost and freeze threat I warned about in last week's videos is active right now, this weekend, and the damage is already being felt. As the calendar turns to May, the focus for severe weather will shift toward traditional Tornado Alley, with areas from central Texas to eastern Nebraska facing the highest tornado risk. The geographic center of gravity for severe weather is shifting southward and westward, back toward the classic Tornado Alley corridor that most people associate with spring severe weather. The upper Midwest and Ohio Valley that absorbed so much of April's fury may get some relative relief. But the Texas to Nebraska corridor, the same corridor Tuesday's setup is targeting, steps back into the primary risk zone. Long-range forecasters predict 1,050 to 1,250 tornadoes across the United States this year, compared to 1,144 preliminary tornado reports in 2025. A single outbreak, or one tornado striking a populated area, can define a spring regardless of how the final count compares to average. A single outbreak. That sentence is the most important thing I can say about the significance of Tuesday's developing setup. It does not matter that May is forecast to be somewhat quieter than April. It does not matter that the annual tornado count may come in below 2025. Tuesday's storm system has the ingredients for a significant severe weather event. And one significant severe weather event, if it strikes the wrong community at the wrong hour, defines the season for that community regardless of everything else the season does. Here is your complete picture for this week, Sunday, May 3rd through at least Tuesday, May 5th. Today, slight risk for severe weather continues in southern Georgia and northern and central Florida through this afternoon. Damaging winds and hail, low-end tornado potential in the North Florida corridor. A few strong storms possible in Missouri and Illinois. Monday, transition day, the quietest day of the week. Use it to prepare for Tuesday. Tuesday, May 5th. A southern stream shortwave merges with a plains trough, developing a surface low over the southern plains and driving a cold front into the Arklatex corridor. Dew points of 60 to near 70 degrees return to southeast Oklahoma and northeast Texas. The low-level jet increases through Tuesday evening, raising the cat break potential for organized severe thunderstorm development. Large hail, damaging winds, and a tornado threat are all possible, especially in the evening to overnight window when the nocturnal jet peaks. The Arklatex, southeast Oklahoma, and the Texas side of the border are the communities that need to be prepared before Tuesday afternoon. Severe weather season is one of the few hazards where preparation can pay off immediately. Identify the safest place to go at home, work, and school. Review how you'll get warnings, especially overnight. Restock basic emergency supplies, including backups for power outages. Make sure shelters and safe spaces are accessible and not cluttered. Have a plan for pets and anyone who needs extra time to move to safety. The pattern developing this week is not April's continuous siege. It is a targeted, specific, Tuesday-centered setup that is pointing at the Arklatex with tropical moisture, a nocturnal jet, and the same fundamental severe weather recipe that produced the most dangerous events of the entire spring. Know your shelter. Set your overnight alerts. And don't make the mistake of thinking May is automatically quieter just because April is over. I will be back with updates as the Tuesday setup sharpens. Stay safe out there.